So I'd like to talk to you today about crime, anyway, the whole idea of crime. And I think that word's been one of those words that has been bastardized. And because I think what it was meant to mean in the first place was harming somebody or their property. But now it's like just breaking the law, which is why so many corporations have engaged in all sorts of crimes where they're harming all sorts of people, including children. But they can get away with it because it's not against the law. So you kind of took some notes, didn't you, in the past about the idea that in your opinion, the ultimate crime is to bring someone into existence. Can you expound on that and expand on it?
Yeah, I've written a page here on it, a short page, just to lock the idea into place. So it reads, procreation is the human rights violation, a crime/violation against humanity that should be recognised as such by the Court of Human Rights. All parents, in speech marks parents, should be forced by law to fully compensate their offspring. And then I've written lifetime survival fund. So that's the compensation. You are liable for that person that you brought, that victim that you brought into existence, for life. You're liable to pay up to compensate that person that you brought into existence. So you have to pay for life. And then we've made, we've come to the conclusion that it's around about 4 million, I think, minimum. So that would be the cost of bringing a victim into this incarceration, which is incarnation, the prison that we call life. That is the ultimate crime. So it should be recognised as such. And instead, parents are lauded and loved as if they've done something wonderful and given the gift of life, when actually it's the opposite. They should be hunted down and forced to pay for their crime.
Because the crime is another word for doing harm against an innocent person, harming an innocent person. And that's what procreation is. You starting off someone's life, right? And you get the clue that you've already harmed them the moment they come out of the womb, right? They come out, they get this terrible pain and pressure in their head. They don't know what's going on, and out they come, and then the screaming starts. And that should be enough to get people to realise that they've caused harm. And every time the baby cries, that should be another reminder that baby is crying because because the parent should be realising the baby is crying because we brought it here and now it's crying. So it's the ultimate harm against the child itself, because it's the initiator. It's what makes all of the harm that the child, and eventually as it grows into an adult and then gets older, etc., it initiates and makes possible. It creates a vessel that can experience and will experience a whole range of harms, all caused by the parents bringing it here in the first place.
Yeah. And
the harms that it causes to the rest of the people on Earth. So many people are involved and exploited for each person that's born, especially in the West. Yeah, so it's a harm against humanity. That's what you mean by harm against humanity. There's so many people involved that are going to get harmed. And now the natalists will argue that some people, if you look at their whole lives, they might be a net positive. But so firstly, it's very difficult to prove. And secondly, those parents are blissfully unaware of how much exploitation is involved with everything. Human exploitation. Even if you go to a Starbucks, the number of people along the line that have been abused to get your coffee there for a couple of quid is colossal. So it is a crime against humanity, but the ultimate, the main crime is against the child itself who's brought here. So anyway, I interrupted. Can you carry on with your document?
No, it's fine. Yeah, that's the end of the document. Yeah, that was just a short one, just to lock the idea in. But it's just to say that procreation is the very definition of crime. it's the most heinous crime that you can possibly commit, because you're exposing a sentient, very complex sentient being to a lifetime of suffering. You see?
And of course, the other thing is to emphasise is, of course, it's not just, you know, some of those people you're bringing here, even if you're super wealthy, some of those people you're going to bring in are going to have the most excruciating experiences, excruciatingly painful experiences. Yeah, there's going to be a minority that are going to have, I mean, there's so many different illnesses that could happen and so many different types of accidents that could occur. And there are going to be some people who experience those horrors. So that makes it even worse that you know that a parent is taking such a risk, because there's no way you can control those types of things. They're going to happen. You know, I was diagnosed with a cancer it's only 1 in a million. I'm 1 in a million. Wonderful, great. And there's thousands of other conditions like that are just 1 in a million, but there's still people who get them. And then there's thousands of other conditions that are 1 in 2, like cancer. Right, or maybe not thousands of other conditions, but there are other conditions like cancer. There's hits 1 in 2 people in general cancer. So, yeah, it's the ultimate in harm. You are all that harm and all the abuse and all the rapes that happen and none of them would happen without that initial,
that's right,
unprotected sex that their parents engaged in.
That's the catalyst. And the third part, you know, of compensation is not looked at either. You know, the parent gets off kind of almost scot-free, really.
Yeah.
Or there's a get out, you know, they only serve the child until 16 or 18 and then they push them out.
Yeah.
And then they have to fend for themselves. And then all these things that happen to the child, it's its own, it has to repair them itself on its own. There's no help financially. And we're in a capitalist system that's predatory, as we all know. Very difficult to survive here now, especially now, you know, in this age, and there's more coming with AI. It's going to be even more difficult to survive, I think, when all the jobs are wiped out. So this is what you've subjected your child to, you see. So that's why I said compensation. And we worked it out, like I said, to be around about 4 million. If everyone was
low
asked,
level.
That's a low level payout. That's a low level compensation or reparation. And if every parent was, you know, ordered to pay this up as a fund up front, an upfront fund, it would just make it impossible for them to have children. So it would exclude most people on earth from having a child if they had to lodge 5 million into an account first. Say, a fund for the child, so that if the parent died or anything happened to the child, it's got the money there to sort things out. It's got the money for its housing, it's got the money for all the things, all the essential things that it's going to need through its life. Why should the child be forced to pay for all of this? See, the child didn't ask to come into existence. The parent thought it was a good idea to bring the child in. So if the parent thought it was a good thing to bring the child in, then make sure you can cover the cost of bringing the child in. See, or the adult, the person, the human being.
As I often say, is like,
why should it end at 16? Why
Yeah.
should your support for the child end at 16?
Or any age.
Why? Or 18 or
Or
21?
any age at all.
Any age. You see, you've initiated the life, so you're responsible for that life. Not just a plaything until 18 and then you throw it away when it's of no use to you anymore, or it's becoming a problem to you. You see, that shouldn't be allowed, the get out. Lodge the money first, that's how much it costs to have a child. Minimum £5 million. There it is. If that was said to everybody and that was ordered and the government enforced that, there'd be hardly anybody here. That would control the population problem in itself. You see, it's crazy that you can just do it without thinking and then you've got no money. And then how are you going to do that? This is insane when you think about it.
well, I think the answer will be that in not too distant future, you won't be able to. They'll find a way of separating sex from reproduction, and you won't be able to do it like that. You'll have to go to some organisation or corporation, and they will genetically engineer a what do you call it? A designer baby.
Yeah, males will be sterilised. All male children will be sterilised, and women will be left alone until they can work out how to develop the child, gestate the child externally without a womb. When that comes along, if it ever does, it's not here yet. So they're still going to require female wombs at the moment. So they'll leave the females, the chosen females will be fertile, and that would be how they continue their. And then the government controls. The one world government by that time will control the reproduction, and it will be taken out of the hands of, or the testicles of men. They'll all be sterilized at birth. They don't need them anymore. They're milked, the sperm is stored, and then they inject the females as they see fit. Then they can control the numbers. That's the future. AI, all controlled by AGI for maximum efficiency. That's the next iteration. That's the next phase of the game, I would suggest. It must come, because it's all driven by efficiency. Every life form strives for efficiency. Every life form. That's evolution. Evolution is actually the application of efficiency through time and the whittling of that which is inefficient. So it must come.